Good morning, happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Pitch Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats, and listen, it's been one of the probably been one of the more quiet off seasons that we've had in a while, and it just seems like the Yankees just have no ambition to really get things moving because they're in that penny pinching mode. They want to stay under the 300. I don't see really how that is structurally possible to stay under 300 and put out a championship caliber team. You know, they can put out a playoff contending team, but just will not have that extra to get them over the hump into a championship. You know, and that's just the way that it's the way it is. It sucks to have to admit to that, but the Yankees are not. They're not the aggressor anymore, and it's a sad state of mind because we've all grown to the level of expectations that the owner's father put forth. That look, if you don't win a championship, you suck. It doesn't matter. You can win. You can have You can go 162-0, miss out on the World Series, and George would be like, "We suck." That was his mentality. And it's when you see the lack of movement, and you hear all the time in the headlines, it's that they're kicking the tires on this guy. They're interested in that guy, and they're talking to this guy. Well, they should be talking to everybody. The Yankees. They should be in on every free agent that's out there and trying to figure out how they can fulfill the holes in their roster. Yes, you want to be financially responsible. You don't want to be reckless with your money. Look, we're all adults. We understand that's also part of it as well. But to have here where you still have the top free, and I think I think there's a deeper issue of why a lot of these top free agents wait. It takes so long for them to sign. We may get into that a little while later, but it's one of these. Come on, Donald. It's one of these where it's nobody's going at they're what was I going to say? Donald. Well, I regain my thought here as I have dogs in the background drive me crazy. One, congratulations to you, Knicks, on the cup.
Thank you so much, my friend. I was celebrating a little bit.
As I was like, all right, he's still sleeping.
Yeah, exactly. I overslept, but I'm back. I'm back, baby. Just like Brian Cashman, I overslept, but.
Well, Cashman hasn't woken up.
Unlike Brian Cashman, I'm here for my job. So
we're here for the people, whereas Cashman is not. No, look, right? I mean, is it fair when I say we understand that there's a financial responsibility not to be reckless, but you still at the same time need to be proactive and fill a roster that is more than just a playoff contender, but a championship caliber club.
Yeah, and they're not.
The Yankees seem to be in between right now.
They are so far from a championship caliber club right now. They're not even. They're not even in the consideration. As I say, they're right now, as we stand, they're a third place team, fourth place team.
Fourth, if you think about the additions that the Orioles, the addition the Orioles
exactly. Made. What does it say about the Yankees that the Orioles have done more in free agencies by signing Pete Alonso than the Yankees have in years?
One, I think that speaks volumes. You have and it's not that the Yankees haven't done anything, right? They brought back Grisham on the QO. We've ranted about that endlessly. It's almost tiresome to even mention his name. They brought back Yarbrough. Solid. You do need pitching depth until some of the starters are healthy and back in rotation. That's a move that makes sense. They're and they brought back Rosario as a solid bench piece. I don't hate the Rosario move. Them for $2.5 million. I think the Yankees, were very smart with that. So it's not that they have completely given up on improving the team. But can we bring somebody back that was not on the previous year's roster? When are we going to do that?
Well, I mean, we have one hope, and it looks to be Tats Imai. So, of all the negativity, obviously, in my last show, I pinpointed exactly where Brian Cashman has failed us and Hal Steinbrenner has failed us. But there is some good news, and it looks like the Yankees are finalists for Imai. So, did you come across those recent reports, Uncle T?
I saw a few, not a lot. I saw a few tidbits of some, not a lot. To be honest with you, the last couple of days were a little rough for me, but I am feeling better. And Dev, I will give you a personal shout out. Thank you for the text message to see how I was feeling. You are a real one, my friend. But I started kind of getting away from Imai when I saw that he's being represented by Boris, and I know how Boris likes to play his games. And I'm like, oh, that's not good.
So it does sound like there might be blowing up. According to Steve Phillips, says it does sound like the Yankees might be blowing up their budget a little bit. Again, why are they talking about budget? It's so absurd. Anyway, to land more starting pitching, in addition to needing to get Bellinger. So Imai is very much a finalist here, according to Francis Romero. Around 5 MLB teams have shown real interest in the Japanese ace Tats Imai, the New York Yankees, and Cubs, and the Cubs. And then the Chicago Cubs are expected to be finalists to sign Imai. So we're in the finals. We're in the race. Let's get it done. It would be nice.
Yeah, but how many times are we in the playoffs and we fall flat?
Like I know. What's what was the same with Yamamoto and all that stuff. We've been there, so it sure would be nice to actually win a bidding for once. And I can't remember the last time the Yankees actually won a bidding. Juan Soto bidding, lost. Yamamoto bidding, lost. So it sure would be nice if we actually win something. So in more ways than one. So I think Imai would be amazing. I'm really all in on Imai. I hope that they manage to get it done. I don't trust that they will, but I want to be happy. I really want to be happy about something. So this would definitely be it, man. I mean, Imai has been my top pitching target since the start of the offseason, which feels like years ago. But it's actually only been a couple of weeks. But yeah, I really want Imai. Let's hopefully we can get it done.
No, I think Imai would be a tremendous addition to this club. Yeah, and the other name that I was looking at last night was Murakami, because I believe now he's 5 days away from his posting ending, where he would just go back to Japan. So, and you're really not hearing a lot on him. So, that's another name that's kind of like, where did he go? Because he would actually, I think he would serve the Yankees more of a purpose than Imai, even though we would love the pitching. But we already have a surplus of pitching. We have a deficit of infielders. So I would like the Yankees to focus more on Murakami.
Yeah, but thing is about Murakami,
not to say I won't take both.
I do like Murakami. The thing is, though, he is a lefty bat, and that's not exactly ideal. Okamoto has obviously, it would actually make a ton of sense because he's a righty bat, and he can play first and third, so he's a little bit more versatile in that regard. There are also concerns about Murakami's ability to hit fastballs at the major league level. His his stats against fastballs last year over a certain like velocity is dreadful. So he seems to be struggling to get round on some on some tough pitching. So maybe that's going to affect his market a little bit. But I do like him. I do like him for sure. And I do probably predict that with good coaching, he's going to be a good player, a really good player, for sure. You don't have the kind of numbers that he put up. A career 945 OPS in Japan, with a career 722 RBIs without being a very good hitter. But there are some concerns attached to him. Not sure about if we need another lefty bat. I do quite like Okamoto, though. That I've been kind of coming around to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you get one of the three, I still say it's. I know it's the lefty bat with Murakami, but I think either way, that's a substantial upgrade. And if you're able to get Amai, here's where it does seriously favor what the Yankees can do. And it does shift the paradigm of what the future would look like, because it gives you the option once Rodon and Cole are back in the rotation healthy. You're also going to have Schmidt, which with the Tommy John, what he had to do, I'm not counting Schmidt until I know he's back.
Oh, he won't be back.
Yeah, but that's why I'm not. He's still down the road, and it's you don't know what you're going to get when you get him back. It does give them the flexibility to move, pitching in a trade market for needs that you weren't able to fulfill in the offseason. And we know that Cashman is more active in the trade deadline than he is in the offseason. Not whether the moves
work true as well.
Whether the moves work out or not is another story. But as far as him, working the phones, he prefers the trade deadline than the offseason. I just think that's his comfort zone.
Of late,
It may not be ours, but it's his.
Of late, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but you might see a guy like Warren on the block.
Warren, yeah, I could see, but at the moment, if you look at our rotation, healthy going into like spring training / March, April to start the year, it's Max Fried and Will Warren, Luis Gil, and Cam Schlittler.
Yeah, let's not forget Cam.
Oh, definitely not forgetting Cam. Cam's the man. So, but that's only 4. I guess you could theoretically have Yarbrough as that 5th starter, but Will Warren and Yarbrough making up 2/5 of your rotation is hardly ideal. Hardly ideal. Especially against this juggernaut AL East that seems to be the case right now. Because the Orioles are going to be tough as hell. Blue Jays are going to be tough as hell now. The Red Sox are going to be tough as hell. So that's it. You probably want another arm. One more real solid starter in order to help, because you need to offset the offense that I believe is going to have a down year this year without any real solid additions. Thus, we definitely need one more starter. It's not really my main priority. I think we'll be okay, but
right now, for me, first base is my priority.
I don't think that's even going to be on the agenda, bro. I don't even think that's going to be on the docket for the Yanks, bro. It's going to be Ben Rice.
No, it may not be their priority, but it's mine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my priority would be adding one more power infielder for sure. I do agree with you there.
The
So
priority should be a legitimate shortstop.
that's it. That's what I'm saying. So like, if you're gonna have Ben Rice at first base, and you're gonna have Austin Wells at catcher, and then you're gonna have McMahon at third. McMahon's a minus bat plus glove. Volpe is a minus bat minus glove. Right? So if you're gonna do that, then you need to offset it somewhere else. And you've got Jazz at second, that's fine. They might move Jazz. I don't really want to do that unless I'm guaranteed an upgrade, though. So, I mean, unless they went and signed a Bo Bichette to add that power from the right side. So, I don't know. That's what I would do. I would definitely focus on a righty for the infield that can add some power. Hopefully, at shortstop. Otherwise, you do it at third or second. I agree with you though about first base, bro. I don't like Ben Rice at first. I like him at catcher, but the Yankees like it differently. They want him at first base, so it is what it is. I do agree with TC Steele. So Donald, we need a true first baseman, a legit short, and a third that can hit. The infield is shit. Absolutely. I'm just trying to think about it like rationally where the Yankees might be thinking. If I'm in your completely in your boat. We need a true first baseman. Yeah. We need a legit shortstop. And we need a third baseman that can hit. Aaron Boone says that they think that they can unlock stuff with McMahon. McMahon's in year 7. You're not going to unlock. There's nothing to unlock there. I mean, he is who he is. He's just a brilliant glove and a slightly below average bat. So, if you're going to live with that, then you need to have something at shortstop. I believe in Caballero, though. I do believe in this guy.
I really like it. I like watching him play.
Yeah. I love watching this guy play. We don't need stars everywhere. He's someone that's gritty, can play multiple positions, brilliant arm, good glove, contact guy, speed for days. Love that. I'm happy to put him at shortstop.
Well, that's why I kind of think that we're being a little unfair to McMahon. At third base, like on the corners, you need more of a defensive player. Obviously the bat would be great, but if you secure up the rest of the infield or the rest of the lineup, not even just the infield, if your lineup is legit enough where you can kind of put defense over offense for one position, I would rather that position be third base.
Yeah. What you could do is you sign Bo Bichette. And as the market is going on, and there's not a really big market for Bo Bichette, it makes a ton of sense too.
That's why it's actually the right time to strike on him because nobody's thinking about him. That's when you come in with a fair offer, and like, hey, we haven't forgotten you.
You come in and sign Bo Bichette, right? Then you can stick him at second. Right? And then Jazz becomes either someone that you can consider maybe making center fielder because he's played center field before, or you trade him and then you accrue a bunch of assets. The other way you do it is you play him a shortstop, but he is a negative shortstop. He is definitely a negative shortstop, but at least we won't have to suffer the torture of Anthony Volpe. The other option is, I don't know if I could see him playing third base. I like McMahon at third base, but at least it's another infielder.
Yeah, I'm not looking to move McMahon.
He needs to play shortstop. Fair enough. And then Caballero could be your super utility guy where he plays every position. It makes sense. I think as the market is going on, I mean, at the start of the offseason, I was like, I want Kyle Tucker. I'm not accepting anything less, right? For me, there's no excuse that we're not going for Kyle Tucker, but it is what it is. However, Bo Bichette's sitting there. It's kind of negligent if the Yankees don't look to acquire him, because he's someone that will upgrade your infield and add power from the right side. There's no excuse not to be involved in this now, as far as I'm concerned. Doesn't have the best glove in the world, but I mean, literally they gaslight us about Anthony Volpe every day, so there's no excuse. They don't need. I don't want to hear any excuses. Volpe was the worst shortstop I'd ever seen last year. So,
well, you might be one of the worst shortstops I've ever seen.
oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, last year alone, it was the worst I've ever seen anyone play shortstop, and that included IKF, who was a butcher out there.
I mean, IKF, his baseball IQ is above really most people. IKF had incredible IQ on where to be in the right spot.
Yeah,
and he did have the arm. It's. I mean, IKF was a very underappreciated part of this club. Because of the way that they jerked around with his position. But IKF is still, you see it. He has moments with Toronto. He's IKF's a legit ball player. I always enjoyed watching him play. Was he the superstar? No, but like we were saying, you don't need a superstar in every position. You can't have your 1 through 9 all Hall of Famers.
No, I know that, but he was a disaster at shortstop. IKF was a disaster at shortstop.
Yeah, and then once they put him back at third, you're like, okay, here we go.
Right. I mean, that guy was the Gold Glove third baseman.
Yeah,
he was Gold Glove third baseman and maybe played with short. That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
No, the stupidest thing I've ever seen is Volpe being, forced at shortstop when you have Peraza. That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen. No, and I know a lot of people are trying to talk about with Bichette's, defense. Who would you rather on defense, Bichette or Volpe? And there's only one right answer.
Exactly. Dave Rice is commenting. Bo Bichette is not sitting out there in a vacuum. Teams like the Dodgers are lurking and ready to jump as soon as he reduces his demands. Of course, but I think we can all agree that the market isn't exactly jumping for him right now. So you could get in there. The Dodgers love Bichette and will land him for 3 years at $90 million. Dude, are you kidding me? You can get Bo Bichette for 3 years. If that's the case, then the Yankees are absurd not to get involved in that, man. Brian Cashman's we need righty bats. We need righty. Yeah, apparently. Cashman's like, we need righty bats. We need righty bats. We need righty bats. But there's none available. And there's a righty bat sitting available in free agency as we speak. Right? In a position of need. So I don't want to hear any more excuses. The Yankees should be getting in on that. If they don't sign Kyle Tucker, then it should be Bo Bichette.
Yeah, that was the other thing I wanted. I was going to text you last night this question, but I saved it for today. You and I are on opposite ends, even though we would take both players with Tucker and Bellinger. Would you prefer $400+ million for Tucker, or give the extra year to Bellinger?
Oh, Kyle Tucker.
You think he's that high of a? You think he's Vlad Guerrero money? Good or?
No, I don't. But I understand you have to overpay in free agency, right? It's just what it is in free agency.
You'd rather overpay with money than the years.
Yes, and the truth is, Tucker is. I went through it in yesterday's Monday's podcast.
Yeah,
where we looked at the comparisons of the years, the comparisons of the careers, and it's very clear that Bellinger's best year now is Kyle Tucker's baseline year. And if I'm going to pay serious money then I'd rather put it to someone who's younger and who's had a better 5-year stretch. And in both those instances, it's Kyle Tucker. Thus, I understand the years are going to be a bit rough, and but you always sign at the front end, not the back end. And I'd rather do it with somebody who's younger and still
like what we had with Teixeira and Sabathia.
Right.
The back end of their years weren't that great, but we had the title.
Exactly. If you add Kyle Tucker, then you no longer have to worry about where the Yankees turn for power when Big G retires. And I believe that he's going to be no longer Yankee within the next 2 years. So Kyle Tucker would step in and be that power that you need to help Aaron Judge. And that's what the only target should be. The only thing the Yankees should be thinking about right now is not what they owe to the city of New York, not their budget, not a looming lockout. Don't worry about that stuff, right? Because other teams aren't worried about it. Do you think the Blue Jays are worried about that stuff? No, they're looking to get better. They're on a mission to get better. Do you think the Dodgers care? No. So the Yankees shouldn't worry about any of that stuff. Why is Hal Steinbrenner thinking about, these small market teams? We really need to get the small market teams to compete more. That's not your job. You are not the commissioner of baseball. Leave that to the commissioner. Your job is a quote-unquote owner of the Yankees. That should be your priority, but it isn't his priority. His priority is just to do the bare minimum. The bare minimum. The bare minimum, and less than the bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? If you make $900 million every single year, and the most you can free up is a third of that for the Yankees, and then complain about owing $100 million to the city of New York, and then complaining about luxury tax and all that crap. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear poverty, and also he's so tone deaf because we are in a climate now where people are legitimately hard up, right? Why do you think that Brian Cashman does the sleep out for charity? There's homeless people out there. There are people struggling to make ends meet. There are people working 3 jobs in order to bring in, bring in enough to feed their families. And Hal Steinbrenner's like, oh, but I owe $100 million to the city of New York. What about me?
And we don't give a shit.
I'm a multi-billionaire, and the Yankees are the most valuable franchise in the world, but we're poor.
But think about how much more money he can make with World Series merch.
Right. What's that? It's like that bridesmaid scene. Help me, I'm poor. Right? That's Hal Steinbrenner. And I don't want to hear it. It's insulting. And it's embarrassing.
Yep.
And it's disgraceful. And shameful. So, quite honestly, shut your fucking mouth, Hal. Quite clear. Shut your fucking mouth. And pay up.
Hal just gets me aggravated. Like with TC. Hal just needs to shut his mouth. Like you were just saying, Hal just needs to say, just put a winning team on the field. And I don't mean, extending another year of being above 500. I don't mean another year of squeaking into a wild card. I don't need another year of winning the division and getting the first round bye. I want a year where they put a team that could win a World Series. And if anybody, in other fan bases, if they want to say, the game's changed, and we're not enjoying the seasons because we're too fed up with not winning. Well, isn't that the whole point of watching sports? To watch your team win it all. That's why you invest all your time into it. It's for the satisfaction of your efforts paying off with your team taking the extra step to get you to that promised land of hoisting the trophy at the end of the season. So I always thought that was a bullshit narrative. Do you think Blue Jays fans are reveling because they made it to the World Series, or are they still pissed off that they lost? But at least they had the satisfaction of having an ownership group that is still working on improving that team. They're not pinching pennies. They're like, all right, now that we got here, we want to finish what we started. We want to finish the story. The Yankees don't have that desire anymore. They don't want to finish the story.
So we've got plenty of people in the chat. It's a really lively chat, bro.
It is time for the chat.
Let's bring up some of these comments. So it looks like Uncle Taz. Let's go through the comments. It looks like we got a Blue Jays fan, we the North. Grisham and Stanton, 22 million each. LOL. I wonder what they both did in the playoffs with the Blue Jays. I mean, shout out to the Blue Jays, man.
You guys kicked our ass. We're not here trying to sugarcoat anything. You guys beat the shit out of us.
Exactly. What did they score? Like 34 runs over the series, and the Yankees are like, "Oh, we're not that far off. We're quite close, actually." Aaron Boone. I mean, that just made me sick. I mean, it's just like this loser mentality. We're like, "Oh, we're not that far."
I mean, if you think about it, I want to
obliterated in the DS, obliterated.
Yeah. We the North. I want to drop in the comment. I mean, you have to. We rolled down Schlittler. We thought, all right, we're in great shape. Then Boston rolls out Smart. He was phenomenal in his postseason start. And then you guys throw out LaSavage, and we're like, oh, fuck. It's like when we think we have the nice new toy, you guys rolled out your own. So it is going to make the AL East extremely, extremely competitive with the young arms coming through the systems.
I do agree with you. Savage is really good. Dave Rice has some interesting comments. You want to pull some of these up?
All right. Because the Dodgers are all in again on 2026, 2 and 3 in a row, they will do anything within reason. Now, I think they're going to go, above what's reasonable. They're not just going to be reasonable; they're going to be extremely aggressive. No, it's and they should be all in. They should be going for that 3-peat.
It's awesome
because who's on their level Who's on their level right now? Nobody. Nobody's on that level of the Dodgers. I'm sorry. It's the reality of it. The 3-peat could almost be written right now. It'll
different
take
stratosphere.
Yeah. I think that's a little harsh, TC. We do have aces on the staff.
We North. Ooh, well, pull up his latest comment.
You say Fried is an ace. Did I say Fried? I didn't say Fried.
But I mean, he is. I do think that Fried is an ace. I mean, he had a really good year. Great year, in fact. But the Blue Jays exposed. I think a lot of it was to do with the tell that the Blue Jays had and where they obliterated Yankee pitching. And they got a handle on Fried.
Yep. Look, the Blue Jays are not the first. They're the latest team, but they're not the first team to expose all the problems within the Yankees and their roster construction. The Dodgers set everybody up for success the way they embarrassed them in the World Series. That was the exposure. Every other team is just putting salt on the wounds of us. And so, and right on cue, what's going on, Dodger?
Hey, easy there.
You were just saying how it's pretty much the Dodgers and everybody else.
It is. The Dodgers are in a different stratosphere. They have a great, and you know what? And I think that they are brilliant at what they do, man. They've got a really like forward-thinking front office. They've got a culture there. It's all about winning, and they've got players that want to be there and buy in.
Yep.
And they operate like the Yankees used to operate, and that's why I have nothing but respect for them. And they just want to get better. They don't make excuses. They don't say, "Oh, we owe such and such to such and such party." They're like, "Right, this guy's available. He'll instantly make us better. We're all in for a championship, so let's go do it." They don't go and try and cry to their fan base, going, "But what about us? You don't think about us." Freaking disgraceful, disgusting. Good job, Dodgers.
Let's see. Let's get to Jonathan now. If Hal continues to complain, he can sell and be a minority owner. Then he won't have to worry about it. He still wants to have his name on the marquee as the owner. Yeah, you can go to being a minority owner. I have no problem with that. I welcome that. If I had the money, I would take him. I would do a hostile takeover. But
I would. It would for me. It would be an extremely hostile takeover.
Yeah.
Extremely hostile. If Hal continues to simply, yeah, you're right. And you know what? The Lakers just recently done that. They've had a new ownership. So it can be done. They're like the flagship franchise in basketball, and they've got a new ownership. So there's no reason why someone can't pull together enough to make Hal sweat a little bit. Please, or is there any investors out there that are Yankee fans that might have a spare $12 to $15 billion anywhere? Please let us know. But in reality, Hal, the Steinbrenners aren't going to sell. There's no reason.
No, there's no freaking way. Next comment here, FJ. I haven't heard any talk anywhere about Bregman, except he won't be a Yankee. Donald, what do you think?
Oh yeah, he's definitely not going to be a Yankee. If he was going to be a Yankee,
we talked about the headlines being quiet on Bichette. I think Bregman's kind of in the same camp.
Yeah, he actually literally recently said that he regrets opting out now because the market isn't what he thought it would be.
Grass is not always greener on the other side.
Nope. Christopher Cancel 934. Can someone answer this for me? I'm gonna pull this one up. Why are so many players choosing Boris? There's so many sports agents out there. Well, I mean, he does have, in his defense, he does have the resume to get the big contract, and people still want the money. You know what I'm saying? They want generational money, and he can get you that. I mean, he just got Juan Soto, the biggest contract in the history of the game last year, and he'll be riding high on that. And now he can just go ahead and just talk in puns, and people will lap it up. And I mean, I don't really like it, but it is what it is. He still has a big impact on the game. But now he does make mistakes, though, because there are times where he will hold firm and fast, and he'll go all the way right through to spring training, if not beyond, holding big-time free agents hostage. But if you look at the scale of things, he still has a huge impact on the game. That's why so many players go to him, because he can get you generational wealth.
Yeah, it's when these players move, they go on to with Boris. Would you rather play with the Dodgers or the Marlins? You're going to go to the one that's going to give you your best chance to get your best contract. And right now, Boris is the cream of the crop of the market for that. He is one of the best agents I think professional sports has ever seen. Does he drive us crazy with how he has players holding out? Yeah, it does. But if he's getting under our skin that much, that just tells you how good he is.
We only have 10 likes in the building. Come on, guys. We got a ton of people in the building.
I think Jonathan's lying.
Yeah, he better be lying. Hit the like button. I've not seen the likes yet, so maybe he's off. But regardless, everybody hit the like button. Everybody watching on YouTube, hit the like button. And let's continue to build this community. You don't have to agree with our points. There's plenty of people that don't, but we welcome all viewpoints and all fan bases. So we're delighted that we have Blue Jays fans in the chat, Dodger fans in the chat, and we have Met fans in the chat. So salute to everyone because it means that they like to listen to our content, and so we do appreciate that.
Right. And I will say this, and we want every comment that comes into the chat, we appreciate every single one of them. But when we get the back and forth from other fan bases, it kind of lights the fire in a little bit. We really do enjoy the back and forth with other fan bases. So we the North, you have one. We have no leg to stand on when it comes to how the season ended last year. And gloat all you want. You guys
absolutely, they've earned it. Thank you, Dave. Love you guys. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. So where are we with the hot stove? Was there anything in the hot stove?
No, it's ice cold. It's really the cold stove.
The cold
just
stove.
Sitting there. They're still waiting for it to defrost. Oh my fucking God. Can we do all right? Let's combine the two right now. All right. Because we know when we get into the with all these reunions, I said earlier, I'm tired of can we bring somebody back? Can we get somebody that was not on last year's roster? And I know that, with the reunion, we were talking a little bit earlier about, everything with Michael King. Now, I saw yesterday that they're in serious consideration of trying to bring back Luke Weaver. I'm like, okay, why? And I like Weaver. I really do. He wasn't the same after he got injured. What's to say he's, sometimes a full offseason of rest can do the body a great deal. He's not the only one out there. There are other options than Luke Weaver. It's time to move on.
I do agree with you there. Hearing that we're only interested in bringing back guys that we already had in the building doesn't really fulfill you with confidence that the Yankees scouting network is that high. Because honestly, it just doesn't make any sense. It was obvious that Weaver had some issues. And there wasn't quite that bite on his fastball. And there was some mechanical issues there, and I think he had a little bit of a falling out or like a disagreement with some of the Yankee coaching staff over some pitches. And honestly, I think that we got the most out of Luke Weaver, and I think we let him move on. But I mean, I like him. Really good pitcher, and he was great for the Yankees for a while. But we can't just keep going back to the well. And it just seems to be that.
They got to do something different.
Yes, it's like that seems to be the Yankees' entire thinking this year is let's roll it back.
Well, that's
like have they signed an actual outside free agent? Yarbrough in the building, Grisham in the building. They're interested in Weaver.
Tim Hill, they kept on the roster.
Yep, Tim Hill. It's just everybody from within their own building. It's like they're so self-obsessed and self-absorbed that it has to be from people that played for the Yankees before. Rosario. It's like, fine. All fine players. Like, I don't have any issue with any of those players, apart from Grisham, not because of his ability, but because of that stupendously dumb $22.5 million, but like everything comes from within their building. It's like the Yankees, that seems to be their only thought process. Their scouting seems to be off. How can you not find value anywhere else? It doesn't really fulfill me with confidence that they are operating to the best of their abilities. This whole roll it back thing just doesn't make sense to me. But if there's something in the chat here, I want to open up to the chat because you know my feelings. It's very clear. I don't understand why we think rolling it back is acceptable, especially when you rolled it back. We're rolling it back for a team that fell flat on its face and got run over by the Blue Jays and then backed up and then run over again. The Blue Jays run us over, reversed over us, and then run us over again a third time. And the Yankees are like, yeah, we're fine. Let's roll that back.
Well, that's the thing. It's like I didn't see them lift the World Series trophy last year.
Right.
They're like, well, we tied with the Blue Jays. So, how bad could we be? They were in the World Series. If we just won one more game, that's a big if. And you didn't win one more game than the Blue Jays. You didn't get anywhere in the postseason. So let's bring that roster back. That's your that's your resolution to getting to a world, winning a World Series. If you had won the World Series and you wanted to run it back, I think there's very little pushback from the fan base. But you can't keep falling on your face, getting up and stepping on the same lace. You got to tie your shoes. Otherwise you're just going to keep falling on your face over and over and over again. The Yankees have it's like they've lost their confidence in themselves that they can put a winning team together.
Or maybe they're just overconfident. Maybe they're just overconfident.
That's a better way to put it. They are overconfident. You're right.
Because I think they're self-satisfied, and they've been saying it for years. So does anybody else in the chat understand why the Yankees just want to roll this thing back? I'm open up to you guys. Open up to you guys. Do you see the benefits to rolling it back? TC Steels, if you thought last year was bad, wait until you see this year. It will be horrible. Well, that's where I'm at. I do agree, but I certainly don't want to be overly negative. But I think you're right. I think the Yankees offense will not be. I don't think the offense will be as good as it was last year. I think that was an anomaly. I think a lot of positions overperformed, and I think that they're due to have a regression. I do think that overall, some players will get better, but overall, I think they'll be in for regression. Especially like Trent Grisham, he's the most obvious candidate.
I would be shocked if he matched those numbers.
He will not. He will not. He will have a regression. I'm almost certain of it. Volpe will have an awful year. That's a guarantee. McMahon,
I think Wells will improve.
McMahon will be okay, but he is who he is. He's like a 700 OPS guy that's going to strike out 200 times. So. Same Wells. I don't know if Wells is going to improve. I've not seen his bat really be consistent at the major league level. I would love to be wrong, but I don't see it. Not yet. Ben Rice, fine. We're great there. Jazz Chisholm, he is who he is. He's a very good offensive player, very good defensive player, very good player, athletic, everything just in between his ears. He's sloppy. He yawns during games. He's in his own planet. It's the Jazz Chisholm planet. And you just have to suck it up and deal with it. Is that good enough for a championship? Probably not. That's probably not the mentality that we need for a championship. It's just not. Good player. A lot of fun, but I'm sorry. If you're standing there yawning in the middle of a freaking playoff game, I'm quite happy to move you. I mean, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that at all. But I'm not going to move him unless there's a guaranteed upgrade. I don't know where that upgrade lies because the Yankees are cheap. So I'll say that he's probably not someone I'm going to look to move right now. So he is who he is. You just have to deal with the warts. Then you look at other positions. Aaron Judge is God. But can you continue to ask him to continue to play like fucking God every single year? That's hard. Big G, we know who he is. Elite bat when he's healthy. It's just keeping him healthy is the problem. And Dominguez is a big question mark right now. But I'm a big, firm believer in Dominguez, and I think that there's a good player there. But that's it in terms of depth. I mean, Caballero's a good contact guy. He's not going to give you a big year with a bat, though. So that's your offense. It's due to have a down year.
Look, a lot of the numbers for the Yankees offense, I think, are misleading. You know, I mean, look at the way that the season started against the Brewers. You know, I mean, I think that, you know, the home runs are still being hit off of that in that series. They beat, right? You know, because that's the thing. They lay an egg against the highly competitive teams, and then they beat the shit out of the lower teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the offensive numbers, I think, are misleading. It's a false report. Is I think if you separate the teams that finished under 500 and put those numbers against the teams that finished over 500, I think the Yankees are slightly below average. I think the numbers were a mirage.
Yes, FJ has that point here. The offensive stats were bloated by all the home runs. It's a very good point, FJ. I agree with that completely. But that's kind of how the Yankees like to do it. You know?
They boast their chest that they hit all these home runs.
Yeah. It's because they really want to focus their guys on being pool hitters, to focus on the porch. And
that's what fucks everybody up, because now they're all adjusted. You know, rather than letting them keep the swings that got them to the major leagues, they're so smart. Let's just adjust everything.
That's right. It takes out like half their batting average.
They can't find a hitting coach for the fucking life of them. Where's Kevin Long? Bring him back. At least he gave us something.
Like, the offense is good, but they're flat track bullies, and that's what I was really frustrated with. They are a flat track bully offense. So, like, against mediocre to bad pitching, and against like the poor opposition around the league, like the White Sox and those kind of teams, the Yankees would score 20, 25 runs, right? But then when you face good pitching, the Yankees would be shut out, right? But if you take a step back and say, but the stats will say over the last 2 games, the Yankees have scored 25 runs. Yeah. Right? So it's like, what are you complaining about? Our offense is fantastic, but if you take a step back and go, yeah, but we were actually 1-1 in that record because we got shut out in one of those games. But the stats don't really cover that. It just says that we were fantastic, and that's what the Yankees are. They're a flat track bully, so they'll win enough games because there are enough teams that are horrible, and there's enough low end pitching that is horrible that the Yankees can beat up on. But as Healing Man's Heart says here, and I completely agree, empty calorie offense, horrible runners in scoring position. Completely agree with you. That's why they always come up short in October. It's not that much of a crapshoot, trust me. It can't be a crapshoot if the Dodgers have a dynasty. They continue to outspend. They continue to outperform as a front office, any other front office, have the best team. It's not that much of a crapshoot.
And I want to bring in here, we got a final super chat from Miguel. Thank you, Miguel. What's up, guys? Rosenthal was saying that the Yankees are waiting for Imai to decide where he's going to start making moves.
Yes, let's go back to
it's
Imai.
Not a bad. I mean, yeah, you want to make sure you have as much money in the till as you can to reestablish yourself in the Japanese market. But this is not a broke team. They're just cheap. Like they can continue to make moves while they wait. They can work on their infield while they wait to figure out which direction their pitching is going. And I would say the same if it was the other way around. If they were in on Okamo, Murakami or what's the Oko, whatever.
Okamoto, Murakami, Oko, Baka, Oro, Oko,
What?
Yoko Ono, Yoko Ono.
Yeah, Yoko Ono. But Murakami. Oh my God!
But thank you for the super chat. I do appreciate it.
We do appreciate it.
And no, Tats, before you completely lost the plot there, you did have a point. Like you can target other areas. You shouldn't be this cheap where you just have to focus on one guy before you actually do anything. I do agree with that. And actually, to be honest, that's kind of what happened to them last year. So remember that obviously they were all in on Juan Soto as they should have been, right? But it stopped them from making any other progress because apparently they loved Willy Adames. Now I know he didn't have a good year last year, but the Yankees loved Willy Adames in free agency, and I think they allowed him to go elsewhere early, but they could have just signed him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's look until they do something. I have faith that they're going to do nothing. Like that's how much they've broken this whole structure of everything.
Yoko Ono would probably be better.
Yeah, now TC and Healy, they're trying to figure out where she's going to play. Put her at shortstop. She should be better than. She'll still play better than Volpe,
right? With her screaming, let's put her in the dugout.
Yeah. So Dave's going. If the Myers, how is Amai affordable if he's projected to get over $100 million? How does this add up? Well, if that $100 million is over 10 years, that's only $10 million for the year. I mean, so you have to. It's more of the, the year to year salary. The AAV is what you're really looking at, not the total value of the contract. And so that $100 million can easily be spread out and still, it could be, 15 to 20 million a year, over 5 years. So it's not that it's $100 million. It's not. He's not getting that all in 1 year.
Randall Adams, a really good comment. Really appreciate your comment. Yankees are now being run like a small market team. Preach! Yep. Some podcasters that cover the Yankees, definitely not us, even use the excuse that Hal doesn't have the same money as other owners. Sell the effing team. Give that man a star because you're spot on, my friend. And that's what you're certainly not going to get these podcasters here telling you that this is acceptable.
You're not going to blow anyways. Yep.
Yeah, we're not going to blow any smoke up anyone's ass. This is not acceptable. This is the New York Yankees. You're the most valuable team in the sport. More valuable than the Dodgers. More valuable than the Blue Jays. There is no excuse to be operating like this. And there's no excuse to be talking like this as well. It sounds meek and it sounds weak. And it's not acceptable. You've got to project some kind of authority that you want to be the best, but you're sort of like, oh, we'll see, we'll see, but I have to check my budget, I have to check to see my bank account right now, and I'll get back to you. Come on, it's absurd. I know that Hal might not like value wise be as rich as the Blue Jays ownership or the Dodgers ownership, but the Yankees are the most profitable franchise in the sport. I'm pretty sure they can afford this. I'm pretty sure they can afford a couple of major free agents. You know, if the Orioles can afford to sign a Pete Alonso without worrying about it, then the Yankees can afford to sign some major free agents. But they just don't do it. They rather make excuses. They'd rather cry poverty. And I am never going to sit here on this platform and tell you anything other than the fact that that is completely unacceptable. If we were a smaller market team, then I would say something different. But when you're the Yankees, there are some certain expectations attached. And it doesn't even have anything to do with George Steinbrenner. Yeah, George Steinbrenner set those expectations, but he's long past. I'm just talking about the value that is attached to the Yankees. They are the most valuable team in the sport. Thus, I'm pretty sure they can afford to do whatever it takes to put together a championship team. But they'd rather not. They'd rather make excuses. And I don't believe winners make excuses. I've never seen a winner make excuses. You know, you don't blame the weather. You don't blame the where baseball is right now. You don't blame a looming lockout. You don't blame those factors. You go F it.
Yep.
You know, so
yeah, because like they don't realize really the torture that they put their fans through with their mentality. You know, where we had to do a whole show when, and I promise this is all in fun taste. You know, with We the North in the chat poking, like, you know, he's been, you know, his team has been at the top of the mountain for decades. You know, laughing down at us. You had one good year, dude. You know,
right.
So yeah, enjoy and revel in it, but let's not act like, you know, you guys have been the poster child for, you know, for spending and putting a team together that won. You didn't win the World Series. You didn't win.
Right.
You know, you won the AL pennant, which I think that is also an accomplishment. You know, I always say I never diminish the pennant. I think that says a
No,
lot about
definitely
your
not.
club.
Definitely not.
But well, you know, yeah, the Yankees have had a rough couple of years as far as putting a roster together, but they're still one of the best teams. They're still one of the top teams in baseball.
Well, they should be the top. I mean, as Healing Man's Heart says here, they have the tradition, the 27 championships. I just didn't mention that in the last time I mentioned it because nobody really cares about the history, but the Yankees are the most historic franchise in all of sports and the most winningest franchise in all of sports. So
They
there's
just
not
don't act
really an
like
excuse to be crying poverty. You know what I'm saying? There's no excuse to have the Orioles sign legitimate stars in free agency and the Yankees just to sit there counting their pennies.
like, you know, you need a
And
first
telling you
baseman.
to
You
be
can't give a Red Sox
satisfied with a
pitcher.
Ryan Yard. Yeah, it's disgusting. It's really not right. And so if we take this platform and make sure that we hold the Yankees to some kind of standards, then I'm proud of it.
Look, I
Because
will
it means
always
that we're
call it
doing
as
our
I
job.
see it. I will always
Yeah.
give a voice to everybody that watches. You know, and whether you're a fan of the Yankees or not, you know, we do enjoy the chats and the back and forth. But it's unfortunately this is the state of where we are right now. You know, it's just here we are yet again. More speculation, hope, disappointment. You know, and every emotion in between. Yeah, and lucky enough, we do have a platform where we can voice our opinions and hear others. You know, and you know, it's, you know, another year where we have not taken that for granted. Um, and like John said, hope gets you nothing. You got to be at, you
Right.
know, we got to start being a little more, you know, like their former selves. Just be a little aggressive for Christ's sakes. You know, not to say that you got, you know, they're going to come in and just start buying everybody, but the landscape has changed. But to sit and the poverty narrative just completely deflated any hope that that fans have had.
Right.
That was the worst thing he could have said in a press conference.
Right. That was
And
wrong.
it's one of those, he will never live that one down.
He shouldn't.
Never.
But I mean, I don't want to end on a negative, so let's talk a little bit about some positive before we sign off.
Yep.
Imai, if you land Imai, then that would be a huge step in the right direction for the Yankees. That means that they've sorted out their pitching staff. Their pitching staff will be elite, regardless of Garrett Cole and Rodon when they're going to be coming back, probably about late May, early June. So that would be exciting. So the pitching staff would be in really good shape. You got a closer. We love our closer. He's really good. And you got Aaron Judge. So like the pieces are there to form a good team. And then the Yankees obviously are in on Cody Bellinger, but I think the Mets are in on him too, big time.
Well, the Mets need to do something.
Oh, yeah.
They are. You think we're in bad shape? Talk to a Mets fan. There's the positive for you. We are not.
There's a positive. We're not the Mets. There you go.
But do appreciate everybody that did spend their morning with us. Appreciate every single one of you. Like I says, we do not take your loyalty to us for granted. We will be back Friday at 10:15, as always. So just make sure you do hit that sub button if you want to join the chat. If you're in the chat, hit that like button. Share this out, your friends, your family. The stream is on the corner. Special shout out to We're the North for all the back and forth and the criticism. Hope to see you in the upcoming chats as well, and everybody else that is new to us. Hope to see you all in the chat.
Randall Adams, great comments. I'm giving you a shout out too, man.
Yep, I mean everybody just killed it in the chat. So make sure you do wear those pinstripes of pride, because somebody in this town has to, because the Steinburners won't. So wear those pinstripes of pride and play hard.
Salute, guys. Let's go Knicks.